How do you prepare? Do you have a routine? You have to have a routine.
I have a routine. I start preparing for each team about a week out, so I'm looking at 3 or 4 games at a time, and in inverse order. The next game is the one I'm focused on most. For example, if we have a week where we're playing Philadelphia, Minnesota, Toronto, New York, I'm on Philadelphia. I'm aware of what the other 3 are doing. And sometimes you've played the other 3 fairly recently, so there's not as much work to be done. I'm reading the papers from those cities. Now with the internet, I look back to when I started and I wonder how we ever got anything done in terms of preparation. You could do it, but you were so reliant on everybody else. You needed to physically have the other team's game notes. You couldn't read the papers from the other cities until you went to those cities. Now everything's at your fingertips. You have access to anything you want. And to be ill-prepared is inexcusable. So what I try to do is try to find one piece of information on every player on the other team that I didn't know before I started my research for that game. Now, I've never gotten to the point where I found something on all 15 guys. But you find 1 or 2 nuggets, and then the bulk of your preparation is done on your own time with the internet, notes, maybe a phone call or 2. Then you get to the arena, you talk to the other team's broadcasters, any players or coaches you know with the other team, they might give you some things. And so it's an ongoing process that really goes right up almost to broadcast time, because you have access to people in the building when you get there that you didn't have access to the day before. In general, it's the same as I told you about what I want to do every game, and is I want to be prepared. Now, I know from talking to kids in high school and college now, they are told, at least some of them, that you can over-prepare, which I don't believe in. You cannot over-prepare. You can over-present. And I did that when I was young. You spend all that time, busting your ass to get all this information, and it's going on the air. I didn't spend all that time digging this stuff up. You get a little bit older, you understand things a little bit better. I probably use 10% of what I have, depending on the game. If it's a blowout, you might use more. If it's really exciting, you might use less. The game will carry itself. But you need to know all of it, because even if you don't use it, putting the stuff in the hopper up there helps you keep everything in context. You might know something about player A that you won't share, but it helps you understand why the coach is using player A in a certain way. So you can't be over-prepared, but you can over-present. You can shove statistics down people's throats until they're just numb to everything. I try not to do that, but when I was young, I shoved everything out there because I had spent time gathering it, and I didn't want it to go to waste.
You got a pile, you're going to exhaust the pile.
It's going. Yeah. It's going.
Is there a different skill set that you use to convey during a broadcast some excitement to a team that's not doing as well as one that is?
You can. I don't do it that way. I try to play it straight. One of the things that I believe is that, although I'm not a salesman per se, our broadcasts are sales tools, and I don't think anybody can sell anything unless the person you're trying to sell it to believes what you're saying. So if I'm creating false excitement, I don't think it helps me, I don't think it helps the team, and I don't think it helps the marketing effort. Now, there are people in marketing that would disagree with that. And since there are a million different ways to do these jobs, I think it's paramount that you do it the way you think it should be done, the way that is best suited to work with your personality, your skill set, and so on. So no, I don't create false excitement, but if things happen that are exciting, I do try to convey that. But I'm not going to start raving about a team that's 15-67. That would be disingenuous, and it would really hurt when we finally got good. Then people would turn on the radio and think nothing of it. It's like The Boy Who Cried Wolf. But if I'm not looking to blister anyone, but if I'm frank and candid when the team is bad, then when I say things when the team is good, my hope is that people listening would say, well, gee, Mark doesn't say they're good unless they are good. Maybe I'll go take a look. Yeah. That's just my own philosophy. And again, I can assure you that not everybody in marketing sees it that way. 2,000
games for the same franchise. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite one of the games?
Not really. Some of them stand out more because of the significance. The reason I like this job is simple. Every game is the same for me, and I like doing every game. Whether it's a February game in the middle of the week in Sacramento when they're at the bottom of the West and the Pacers are at the bottom of the East, I enjoy that just as much as I enjoyed working the NBA Finals. But there are games you remember because of their significance to fans or the franchise. And in no particular order, I would cite The '94 playoffs, Game 1 of the Orlando series, a quarterfinal series. The Pacers had had no success in the playoffs as an NBA franchise before that. Orlando had a good team, and Byron Scott hit a big three in the final seconds on the road, and the Pacers wound up sweeping that series. The most exciting finish to a game I ever saw is a game that a lot of people have forgotten. It was in the '95 conference finals, Game 4, I believe it was, here against Orlando. The lead changed hands like 5 times in the final 90 seconds, and the Pacers won as time expired on a Smith's jumper. Everybody remembers the Reggie games, and those were magnificent, but that was the game that really had twists and turns, and you thought for sure you were going to win, then you thought for sure you were going to lose, and it was really exciting. And then the Reggie games are memorable. The NBA Finals were memorable just because they were the NBA Finals. So although I didn't necessarily enjoy doing those games any more than I've enjoyed anything else, they do stand out because of the significance of the franchise.